Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness, down the river of tranquility, to fill the lake of life with love.
And good evening, our fellows of lovers of love, and thank you for joining us yet again on another who knows what's going to happen show, because we never really know. In this episode, we tackle a wide range of life's challenges, from navigating the complexities of being a landlord and understanding societal views on socialism to dealing with personal loss and managing early bird employees. We cover it all. We'll also dive into relationship dilemmas, parenting struggles, and other workplace issues, offering advice and insights to help you through these tough situations. So tune in for real life stories, practical tips, and some heartfelt discussions. Yes, as always. And this has been an exciting week. We had Thanksgiving.
Yes, we did. It was lovely with family and friends and
family, and we were all prepared for a big Thanksgiving, but unfortunately some friends and family caught a late bug, cold or flu, and don't want to spread it around. So we were expecting about 28. We ended up with like 15 at the So yeah, it was a real but the plus side of that is you get to spend more time with those who were there rather than dividing time amongst 27 other people. You get to have some more intimate discussions and whatnot. And luckily, there wasn't much political discussions over Thanksgiving, so that's nice. It's not that there wasn't any, but there was few.
it was less than it has been in the past.
Yeah,
definitely.
So that's always nice.
Yeah,
that's always nice. And in these difficult times, your friends and your family are those that you lean on when you need them. Politics, if you let politics get in the way of your friends and your family, then you need to rethink your politics. We can all have disagreements on how the country needs to go, on morality, on public policy. Those things there's room for disagreements there. There's a lot of room for disagreements there. But what there's not room for disagreements is that you care for those that you love and those that you care for. And, the person next door who may vote for the person you don't like is likely going to be the one when your water breaks and you need some help. Or when you have a flat tire, and they're going to be the ones there to help you change your tire. They're going to be the ones that are there to help you in those moments of need, not some politician. It's your neighbor. Those are your actual first responders. 9 times out of 10, your first responder isn't the police, it's not the fire, and it sure in the heck isn't some federal department. It's your next door neighbor. It's a stranger passing by. And we need to remember that, and we need to rehumanize each other, I think, is the step we need to take. And hopefully this holiday season, we can start to remember that. All right. So we've got some life questions we're covering, Lovey, unless you got something you want to.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we've got life questions. We're starting with life questions this week. So we'll see how this goes. All right.
Okay. I'm a landlord and I have to increase rent, but I know my tenants can't afford the new price. What should I do?
Give them as much notice as you possibly can, so they have time to prepare to move. If you can give them 6 months before you raise that rent, then you give them 6 months. You extend that as long as you possibly can, so they have the chance to find another option. Don't dump upon them. And if, maybe increase it in stages. Look, taxes go up and insurance is skyrocketing in some places. And so I get it. He's going, the numbers no longer match, right? I'm paying more out than I'm getting in. I have to raise. Yeah, you have to. There's no choice. But you can do it as compassionately as possible.
Yeah.
keep it as small as possible at first. And, say in a few months, it's going to have to go up in 6 months or 9 months or whatever it is. Make that as long as you possibly can to give it the big raise, because it's the human thing to do. But you also can't put yourself, right, if you're not getting enough in, what's going to happen is the maintenance is going to start slipping and all this various stuff. And nobody wants that either. So keep the price as low as you possibly can and extend that period where the rent costs are going to increase as long as you possibly can. Give them as much time and notice and transparency as possible. It's the human thing to do. Okay, what's next?
Why do Americans hate socialism so much? Actually, I think there is nothing wrong about it. As I see it, socialists are trying to create a free, friendly, equal, and just society.
Okay, well, think of it this way. In socialism, Americans are, because of their history, individualists by nature. It's the nature. It's the people who came here were getting away from the authoritarian nature of the rest of the world. That's why most of them came. Now, many of them wanted to come and start their own authoritarian areas. Just, so let's not give them all. They're not all pure as, they're not better angels of our nature. They're just human, right? They wanted a society that reflected them. And that's the rub with socialism, is no one's ever going to agree. It ignores the human differences. And so in socialism, your needs have to be set aside for the good of the group. But who decides what the good of the group is? In Americanism, which isn't quite individualism anymore, in Americanism, it's you operate for the good of yourself. And because we are good, as generally speaking, we are good human beings, that operates for the good of society. We don't believe that there's a central authority should be the one dictating what culture, economy, and future looks like, because history shows they're often going to be wrong. And if you're going to be wrong, you want to have the agency of being wrong. You don't want to be forced to be wrong by somebody else. And that comes with responsibility. And if there's anything that Americans have forgotten about in these last 30, 40 years, is that, that freedom comes with responsibility. Those rights come with responsibility. They are there for you to keep, not for someone else to protect. So that's what we've kind of forgotten. But yeah, it's just Americans don't like being dictated to by the group. It is quite that simple, and that's what's just a socialism is in general. It's the group telling people what to do. Okay, what's next?
When white folks say they are against diversity, does that mean they want to return to segregation?
Okay, barring the outliers that are generally against diversity, nobody's actually against diversity. What they are is against imposed diversity. Because that is itself, think of it this way. If you are treating people differently based upon race, then you are treating people differently based upon race. And that is, by definition, racism. It doesn't matter. The race of the people involved is irrelevant. It's the question is, are you people treating, and diversity ends up becoming very a lack of diversity because it's superficial. The person looks like me. The person has the same cultural identity as me, or all the various things that we identify with as now. But those are very superficial. Just because someone looks like me doesn't mean they're anything like me. Just because someone has the same intimate relations ideas that I do doesn't mean that they're anything like me, or that I'm going to like them, or any of these kind of things. So, no one says they're not against diversity. They're against imposed diversity. People like diversity of thought, diversity of opinion. right? That's how you learn. That's how you
Yes.
improve. That's how you not make mistakes. It's so be very careful about making superficial, simplistic judgments on these type of things. Now, don't get me wrong. Are there people out there who want to return to segregation? Yes, and it's also coming from surprising places. But those are the outliers. They're not the mass. There's so that's what I would say. All right. Well, this next one's difficult, so let's go.
Okay. My boyfriend passed away. I own the house. There was no will signed. Can they come in and take his belongings?
Well, you should schedule a time where they can come in and get the things that his family would want.
I agree. It's the kind thing to do.
I mean, this is difficult for everybody.
Yes.
They have lost their son, their brother, their cousin, their uncle, whatever it is, and you've lost the person that you were attached to. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how important their relationship was to each other, right? Boyfriend, they could have been on the way to a lifetime relationship, or it could have been on the brink of ending, right? We don't know. But either way, she was attached to this person. And so you all are suffering a loss. And I get it. She doesn't want to have to deal with this, right? It's his stuff. It's probably still in for her, it's probably still a shrine in some way.
Yes.
But this process is healthy for all of you. There are a few things you can keep for yourself, but let his brother have his PS5. You don't care. Those kind of things. Yeah. Let them have something to remember him by too.
Yeah.
You have something to bond over, unfortunately. So be as kind as you would want someone to be to you. Okay. All right. And this one we're kind of transferring to work without transferring to work. It's kind of an interesting segue. All right. So let's go.
All right. I have an employee that always arrives 30 to 45 minutes early and starts work immediately. What should I do as a manager? He always leaves 3 minutes past clock out and sometimes goes on working lunches. What's best to do?
Okay, here's what's happening. I'm almost guarantee you this is a schedule, right? He either has to drop his kids off or he's on the bus or something. So he gets 30 to 45 minutes early because what else is he going to do for those 30 to 45 minutes?
Yeah.
So he comes to work and starts working. All right. And 3 minutes past clock out. Yeah, he's waiting for his bus. He's waiting for his ride. He's waiting for the right time. Yeah, he's a very scheduled person. So, hey, the 3 minutes past clock out, what do you care? Right? You don't care. It's 3 minutes. The one thing that's a problem there is A, working on lunches, and B, if he's wanting to be paid for those 30 to 45 minutes that he's starting to work early. If he's just getting some of his work done and is not expecting to be paid, you shut up about it. But, or you find a way to pay him if you can, adjust his schedule. But my guess is adjusting his schedule isn't going to help. Right? Because sometimes if you get there and you start 45 minutes early, you can catch the next earlier bus. You can actually get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it might not work, right? Because of the bus schedules or whatever. But the one that's really the disturbing one is lunches. You cannot let them working through his lunches.
No, can't do that.
You've got to make him take his breaks. And maybe give it, on the between lunches breaks, you can give him flexibility. You don't take them at the exact time, but make sure you take them. Hello? Take 2 5s instead of a 10. I don't care. Just make sure you take them. But your lunch, dude, you got to take your lunch. Get away from your desk. Go outside. Enjoy the birds. Whatever. You got to go. He probably doesn't have anywhere to go. This sounds like someone who's on a public transport schedule.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of stuck. And he's probably some of those persons. I'm here. I don't want to sit around and be bored. So he's got to find something to do. So maybe, I don't know, start a D&D game for him at lunchtime or something. So give him something to do. Help him out. Help the guy out. Help him. Find some way to help him. Make a puzzle. Whatever it is, something that he has something different to occupy his time at lunch. Because he's a dedicated employee. He shows up. He's always arrives. He's got his schedule. You're not worried about him. The thing is, you want to stay within the law. And so, again, maybe having something for him to do that 30 to 45 minutes other than work is, again, find him a puzzle, find him something, get some recreation there in the break room. That would be my suggestion. But yeah, the lunch thing you have to take care of. You cannot let him continue working through lunch. You just can't. It's not good for you, or it's a legal issue. Okay, now we're actually on to real work questions.
Okay. If my boss is slowly taking away tasks and responsibilities from me, is it a sign they want to fire me?
It's a sign that your job classification is probably going away.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a time of layoff. It's not impersonal. They're reevaluating where work goes, and you're going to be the odd man out. So dust off your resume and start looking for other work. That's the way it works these days.
Mm-hmm.
If they just wanted to fire you, they just fire you. They wouldn't worry about reallocating your thing because they're planning to hire someone back into the position. They're reorganizing the position. Got nothing to do with you. It's a restructuring. A good boss would have told you, but even quietly. But you see the signs, so go deal with your. Yeah, that's a layoff. That's not a fire. I mean, it's effectively the same
layoff.
thing. Yeah, it's
okay.
It's effectively the same thing, but it's a layoff. They're not continuing that position. Okay, what's next?
My office is like a furnace, and it makes working really uncomfortable. And if I suggest turning the heat down, I get berated. It also makes me start feeling sleepy. What should I do?
Malicious compliance. You wear the least amount of clothing you can get away with. Like, go in there in shorts and a tank top if you can. Flip-flops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a fan, desk fan. Just malicious compliance is the way to deal with that. Now, if you're in a corporate, you can talk to HR about it. Not that they're going to care. Even though with some of these, you can... with some bosses, you can talk to them about how much extra cost it's taking to heat that office to that temperature. The environmental concerns, you can talk about that kind of thing if you wanted to discuss it. But, I kind of get the feeling it's a small business type thing. So it is what it is. All right. So on to the next one. Unless you got something to say on that.
No, I think getting a fan and wearing shorts would get your point across.
Now, the other option is, which would be my preferred option, frankly, is why would you put up with that? Go find a different job. Okay, what's next?
Okay, I asked to leave early on Friday for a hospital appointment. My boss reacted harshly, and I don't know what to think now.
Go to your appointment and don't worry about it. He was probably stressed about something completely unrelated, and it just added to his frustration. And right, everybody's human.
Mm-hmm.
That's you leave that as a human moment. Sometimes the best thing to do on situations like this is to do nothing, because there's nothing to do. He was frustrated. He probably had a lot of work to do and whatever, and it caused an issue for him. But it is what it is. And in any other day, probably would have been fine. But for that day, for whatever reason, he was having the world come down, crashing down on him, and it was just another thing. So give him the grace you would have wanted in a similar situation.
Yeah, that's good advice.
All right.
How do I get my boss to reduce my days?
Ooh, that's a difficult one, depending upon circumstances. Some bosses might be happy to reduce your days because they don't have to pay you, and you can slip under the, you can become a part-time employee instead of full-time, and don't have to give you benefits. So there is that. The other question is, why do you need to reduce your days? And you go in there and you tell them. See, here's the other thing. Depending upon your jobs, your needs, and blah, 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 the best way to do this is to actually go in there and say, here's the days I can't work anymore. Retain your power as a human being, and you just say, here's the days I can't work. You let the chips fall where you may.
Okay.
Because if you're a good employee, they're going to accommodate you. If you're not, you're going to, so I need to, that's how I always dealt with it. But I always didn't care. I could always go get another job if I needed it. I never worried about it. So if you're not a good employee, then you have to approach it more tactfully and show it how it would benefit them for you to be reduced days. And you. Yeah. Hey, you don't have to pay me for these days where I'm just sitting around picking the underwear out of my butt anyway. So all right, what's next?
How to make my workmates respect me as a young manager.
By being competent. That's the only way you can do it.
And that's all. That's the only way.
Oh, and there's another way. Instead of assigning other people the crappy jobs, make sure you take your turn.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Do the job no one wants to do. Right? You earn what you're telling them is that you're willing to when times are tough, you're willing to get down into the ditches with them. You're willing to support them. And that's how you get respect. Is when your team knows that you support them, that you will pass on the wins. You will give, right? Here's the best way to be a leader is quite simple. You pass on credit and you take blame. When your team does well, you give them the credit. When your team messes up, you accept the responsibility. That team will move mountains for you. Do well. So that's how you do it. Be competent. Do the dirty jobs, especially early on, right? You get in there and you do the dirty jobs. One, it lets you know what they're going through, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's important that they know that you know what they're going through. And then two, yeah, when they do well, they get the credit. When they do bad, you get the credit. That's how it works. The thing is, when they do well a lot, even though you're not passing on the credit, you are getting credit. They know that you lead the team.
Yes. They know.
They know. Okay. What's next?
Why is it hard for some people to own up to their own mistakes?
Because it's embarrassing. That's the number one reason people are difficult at owning. It's embarrassing. Sometimes they're afraid of the fallout, but most of the time it's just pure embarrassing. It's vanity. It's the easiest question I'll ever answer. Okay, what's next? All right.
Should I tell my boss I'm job hunting?
You don't have to. I mean, if you're really angling for a raise or a promotion or something, you may want to drop it in. Or if you know you're leaving at some point, you may want to let them know that your long-term plans, but there's no need to, no. Okay.
Said something stupid on a Zoom meeting. He was not on mute. He thought he was on mute, and he's like, this is a stupid meeting. Let's go get something to eat when we're done here.
I have done that. You know what you do? It's what you do. Not a dang thing. You don't deal with it unless someone asks you to deal with it. There's nothing to deal with. It's actually probably good that people heard you say this is a stupid meeting. Sometimes it needs to be said. Yeah, sometimes it needs to be said. I've been the one who's done that, or not quite clicked off. Been as you're leaving a meeting, well, this was a waste of time, and you're not. Yeah, where it takes a long time. Yeah, I've been the one to do that. You don't deal with nothing. Quite frankly, it's probably something that everybody needed to hear. So you're not the only one who was thinking it. Put it that way. So, so there's probably nothing to deal with.
No.
It's an embarrassment. And hey, right back to what we were talking about before. Why own up? Don't. Just don't. There's no need. Let sleeping dogs lie. If the dog wakes up, then you deal with it. Yeah, okay, I'll be more careful next time. That type of thing. But yeah, don't deal with it at all. All right, what's next?
A coworker reported to my boss that I am planning on leaving because they found a copy of a contract for another company while snooping in my personal stuff. But I haven't decided to sign it. How do I handle this?
This is another one. You don't. Now, you could go to HR and complain about or your boss and complain about the other employee going through your personal stuff. That's a major violation of all kinds of policies. So that is actually how I would sign it. I wouldn't worry about the other contract thing. They have no business knowing what you do outside of work.
No.
It's none of their business. It's none of their beeswax. You are a human being. You are a free agent. In the United States, we have this thing called at-will employment. It means you can leave whenever you want. You can't do that in places like France. You can't just quit and leave your job in France because they can't just fire you. And so it's in your favor. So you don't handle it at all. The way you handle it is you go to your boss, you complain about them snooping through your stinking personal stuff. So, and how they handle this is probably going to have a lot to say if you sign that contract or not. So you have options. So, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Okay.
I fired a respected employee of my company because we had different visions. But we are now suffering a mass exodus because of that. What should I do as a CEO?
This is one of these things where I can actually feel for him, because if you're talking about, there's someone who's relatively high up, one of a chief executive, a vice president, whatever it is, and he's got a vastly different vision, and it's creating conflict in the organization. You as CEO are the ones required and he won't, accept his role. That you can have a different vision, it's perfectly fine, but you're going to execute mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if he won't do that, you have no choice but to move on from him as an employee, right? Mm-hmm. What you have to do is translate that reasoning to your employees without being negative towards the other person. Mm-hmm. You're not blaming the other person. It just is, hey, look, we have different visions. We couldn't find a way to work together on this, and so we had to move on. We could all understand that. We can't be pulled in two different ways as an organization. It doesn't work. You explain that to the company, to the employees, and you move on. I would also spend some time looking in the mirror, because maybe there's reasons that these employees are willing to leave.
Yeah.
Most of the times people don't follow. There's rarely mass exoduses when someone gets fired, right?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they'll come in and it'll take some to another company or whatnot. That happens. And generally speaking, that's not a disaster, because you're leaving. The people who are leaving are the people who weren't following your vision anyway. Mm. But maybe that person was the buffer between you and between him and someone they don't like, or someone they didn't want to work with. And that someone may have been you. But it's a time to re-examine the culture of your company, because you're going to be hiring new people. And so you're going to want to be very careful about who you hire. and why you're hiring them.
Mhm.
So re-examine the culture of your company, re-examine you on how you manage your employees, and talk to your employees. Have an honest discussion with your employees on what happened, why it happened, and where you're going.
Okay.
Where are we going is the question you need to ask, is the question your employees want answered. Okay, on to parenting questions.
My 12-year-old son is crying because I deleted his 5-year-old Minecraft world. How do I explain to him that it's just a game?
It's not a game. It's a hobby. See, for you, it's just a game because you're not the one who sat there and built it. What a lot of parents don't understand is Minecraft is a building game. You build worlds. It's highly creative. It spends a lot of time grinding to get things and to create it. It's a hobby. It's no different than building model airplanes or model cars or trains or any of those things that you physically see. It's just done on a computer.
You owe him an apology.
And you owe them to see if you can figure out a way to save it.
Try.
I mean, there may not be, but sometimes you can get those things recovered. Because, yeah, I get it. You was probably spending too much time on it, and you were frustrated that you didn't know what else to do, and so you ended up deleting the game. At the very least, you owe him an apology, an explanation, and I understand the frustration, right? I can get it. I have walked up to my kids' things and pulled their plugs and hid their cords before. Playing the game, you're getting too involved, so I'm pulling the plug. And I literally just hide in the power cord. I don't take the game. I just hide the power cord. I forgot where one was once. Forgot where I hid it.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, so there's dangers to that. But I understand the frustration. I get the frustration fully. But it's not just a game at that stage. It's not Mario Kart where they're just playing a racing game and it's over. Things like Minecraft never end. It's a continual building. It's a hobby. And there's communities. And, you do not know what you have done, so go apologize and have them explain to you what you've done. Okay, what's next?
Do you regret not having more children? They have one.
Okay, all right.
And they're happy.
No, you have as many. You will, if you're happy with one child, then you're happy with one child, right? Your family is what you want it to be. You don't need to. Don't worry about other people. There's my suggestion. Don't worry about other people's regretted only having one children, or didn't regret having one children, or had a bunch of children and regret having. None of that matters. What matters is how do you feel about it. If you're happy having one child, then enjoy having one child. It's nobody else's dang business. Are you going to regret it? Nobody knows, man. It's one of those things where you might regret whatever decision you have because you don't know, right? The grass is always greener type thing. Oh, I should have had more kids. It was such a grand thing raising all that one child. You get one grandchild and you're 60, you want more grandchildren. And I regret only having one child. No, you don't. You're having an emotional moment. You don't really regret it. It feels like regret, but you really don't because you don't know what the life would have been if you'd had more. So just enjoy the moment and don't worry about it. Deal with that. Hey, deal with that regret in your 60s like the rest of us. Okay, what's next?
How do you start teaching children about private parts being private? And they're 3.
At 3?
And they're getting a thing about taking clothes off.
That's so common at 3 years old. You don't worry about it. You just try to tell at that age. You just try to tell them appropriate thing. Just time and place, all that kind of thing. Here's my suggestion on when do you start teaching children about these things? You start teaching them when they're ready. And the only time when they're ready is when you have to deal with it. You're having to deal with it. So it's when they're ready. It's a simple equation. And how do you deal with it? Every parent deals with it differently. There is no set rules. You try to be as gentle and kid friendly as possible. We love our euphemisms here in the United States, so practice your euphemisms. And though my suggestion is to be as open as possible with the whole thing. You gotta cut yourself like that.
There we go.
All right. So, what's next?
Am I spoiling my toddler? She's holding her toddler. The toddler comes up and wants to be held while drinking milk out of a cup.
Well, it depends on the stage.
And the family is like, you're spoiling that baby.
Well, it depends how far into toddlerhood that is. If it's the new toddler, then it's fine. If it's the end stage of toddlerhood, they probably should have moved on by now, but from a lot of that. But, I don't know. My guess is it's probably not just the holding while milk. Is she probably over bubbleizing, I'll call it, her child? Probably. Lots of mothers treat their children. You don't let their children get the bumps and bruises and things of life. That would be my suggestion. There's only two ways you can really spoil a toddler, right? When you can buy them more stuff than they need, right? Just continue to buy them everything they want, get them everything you want, never tell them no. That's how you spoil a toddler, right? That's it, really. Actually, because the other one is the same. It's the same thing. It's just a different way. Is when you always give them the attention they're seeking, and you never teach them how to occupy themselves.
Yes,
that's the other way to spoil a toddler, and that's actually the same thing as never telling them no. So, so in this case, it's the same thing. So, yeah, are you spoiling them? No, but you do need to start transitioning them past that. How's that?
Okay.
All right. What's next?
12-year-old wants to change her name.
Life's tough, sunshine. You want to go by your middle name or something? That's great. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But, you're 12 years old. You don't get to change your name. You got 6 more years to wait before you get to do that. Hey, you want your friends to call you something different or go by a nickname or something? That's fine. Knock yourselves out. You can do that. You're allowed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are allowed. But no. 12 years old, no, doesn't get to change the name. Just because they're not emotionally mature enough yet to understand that the reason why they do or don't like their name.
You know what?
What?
I used to see this one girl, and I forget what her name. She said her name was now, what she went by, but I do remember her real name. I finally found out what it was.
Yeah.
Nadine.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people don't like their name.
I like that name.
But she didn't. So that's fine.
I never called her that.
Yeah. It's fine to not like your name, but it is who you are. It is what it is. And at 12, you don't really know what you are or not going to like. So I always gave my kids options so they can choose. So they had two first names, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
All my kids had 2 first names. My daughter had 3. Well, kind of. Well, we squished 2 names into one to make it one first name, which means you could use either version of it or the version we created. And then the second was just a name, right? So she has options. All my kids had options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they could use, have names, have different names, like James or Jim, Jimmy, and all those kind of things. Yeah. So lots of options. Lots of options. All right.
Well, I asked if I could call you Jimmy, and you're like, no.
No, I'm not a child.
Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison.
Does not work with my name.
Okay.
No. All right. What's next?
Superstar. 4-year-old keeps stealing things from school.
Yeah. Just the only way to do this is to keep making him bring it back and apologize. He'll eventually get tired of it. The real problem with that is he's eventually going to get good at it. So you've got to figure out, make him understand about the emotions of stealing, make him feel it, I suppose. Steal his stuff. He's a little young for that now. So if it keeps up, that's a plan. But at this stage, all you can do is make him take it back and apologize. He's 4. Yeah.
Yes.
That's really all you can do.
That's all you can do.
All right. Oh, you missed this one, though.
Okay. I have an irrational fear of losing my child. The child is 5, and she's just really attached. He's my best buddy.
Well, how can a 5-year-old be your best buddy? But it's not an irrational fear of losing your child. It's ingrained in the human animal. It's not actually an irrational fear. The fear, it may not be, the need for it to be as prevalent as it is in you may not be necessary, but it's not irrational. So let's be clear. It feels irrational because you're knowing it's kind of more than it's necessary, but it's a natural instinctive reaction for almost every parent.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have got yourself, the real problem with this relationship thing is you have become identified as the parent. You're losing your identity. That's the thing I'd be more worried about. That's a sign that you've started to lose your sense of self outside of being a parent. That would be my concern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big flashing warning sign that you need to reevaluate your perspective. Right? It's not saying you're not a great, wonderful parent, but you're losing yourself in the process, and that's dangerous for you and your child in the long term.
It is.
So, yeah. So, but you're all right. It's perfectly natural there. Okay, what's next?
This is about being around new people that makes children want to embarrass you.
It's their children, they're behaving the same way they do the rest of the time. It's only embarrassing when they're around new people. When they're around your friends, family, people who've seen them, they're just children playing. No one cares, right? It's when they're around new people that you care that they're behaving like little rascals that they always behave like. They're not behaving any different. You just care now because someone else can see. And it depends on their age. One of the things with our kids was you can I gave them much more free range at home than we did in public. And that was kind of the deal. You guys can be animals at home, that's fine, but be civil human beings out in public, and that kind of worked for them. Right? It worked for us. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm just saying it worked for us.
I think that's pretty much how everybody rolls. Kids figure out early on, hey.
Yeah, you can be animals at home. Well, not all children are allowed to be animals at home.
Oh.
Yeah, very strict parents.
Oh, that's true. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Tiara had a friend. The kids weren't allowed to sit on their beds or lay down on their beds during the day. Only when they slept at night.
Yeah, there's some.
I don't understand. That's one of the most interesting
Military family?
No. The mother was just very controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's just, it's because you care. That's the only reason. All right, what's next?
My 16-year-old daughter has a part-time job. I require she pays half her take-home pay for rent. Is that so unfair?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, unless your family is seriously struggling to make bills and utilities and stuff, then yes, it is. What you should actually encourage her to do is take half of that rent and save it. Put it in a college fund or a move-out fund or whatever it is.
Right now, it's going to be a move-out fund.
Yeah. So, and that's what you should be encouraging, because then she can move out when she's 18 and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So rather than think about yourself in this, think about your daughter's long-term future
Yes.
and encourage her to save that half of the rent, half of the money, paychecks
Mm-hmm.
for an emergency fund or a move-out fund or whatever it is.
There you go.
So, but yes, it's not fair because you know what that's encouraging her to do is actually to quit the job and just, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You should be encouraging her.
Yeah.
You should be encouraging this, not discouraging, right? It's like an extra tax. Why are you doing that? She's 16. You're required to take care of her. Take care of her for
Another 2 years. Come on, you can do this.
now. I get it. Sometimes parents are struggling. They're barely making things, and you want her to help contribute to the household. That is actually not unreasonable, but it should not be required unless absolutely freaking necessary. Right? Okay, times can be difficult, and
Yes.
and you know,
Yes.
if you want the lights on, I need you to pay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know, it's fine, but yeah, only if you absolutely necessary. Okay. All right, on to relationship questions.
Yay. Girlfriend wants to plan a girls' trip to Vegas. Now a couple husbands are going. Am I unreasonable for feeling uncomfortable with this?
Probably would be my thing.
Probably.
Probably.
You know, they're just.
Yeah. You're probably, let's put it this way, you're probably the reasonable husband who didn't freak out and now has to go. So
No, he wants to go, but they're not letting him. She's not letting him.
yeah, because she wants her own little vacation.
She wants her own room, man.
Yeah, just let her. You know, sometimes you need breaks from people. It's not at the end of the world to go on and have different vacations. Go off and have your own.
Okay, they're late 20s.
Yeah, middle late
So
20s. Yeah. Now I'm gonna
you should pretty much get over this in the next couple.
I'm gonna throw him a bone for feeling uncomfortable. No, that's perfectly reasonable to feel uncomfortable. Natural What do you deal with that uncomfortable feeling is the question. Having that feeling is reasonable. It's not unreasonable, right?
Okay.
It's an emotional response. It is what it is, and it's not necessarily unreasonable, especially dependent upon state of the relationship and blah blah blah. But what do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? That's the real question.
Mm-hmm.
Take your own dang vacation. Go to Reno. I don't know.
There you go.
Go to Disneyland. Do something else. Okay, what's next? Have a boys' weekend.
There you go.
Go play golf all weekend. I don't know, whatever it is you do. All right, what's next?
Wife recently reconnected with a old friend and is spending a lot of time with him. How do I handle this appropriately?
Well, there's probably nothing to do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, it's just is what it is. They're reminiscing over things. It'll run its course over a period of time, and life will go back to normal. People still have friends, and people like to catch up with old friends. Unless you have reasons to be more uncomfortable with that, then there's nothing to handle. Right? Ask the question.
Well, I would. Obviously, he has some feelings. Why can't he talk to her?
He can
about them.
But what's he gonna say? What's his things? What's the point? I'm telling you, it's not gonna end well because he's not gonna approach it well.
Well,
right? Because he's gonna approach it from a place of pain rather than a place of understanding. Right? How much you want to bet? If he tries to have a discussion, it'll be accusatory rather than. And
it starts with I feel a little insecure.
About your relationship with Bob.
about how much time you're spending with people other than me. Especially Bob.
That sounds a little controlling, doesn't it?
No.
What if I did that? And it's just,
we talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You think so?
I don't think it'll go well. But
okay.
Unless there's a reason for it, an actual reason for it not to go well, which this is one of those things where if I give her the benefit of the doubt, there's no discussion to be had, right? There's really no discussion. Because it's how do we handle it? Handle what? There's nothing to handle. It's just his wife has a friend. What is there to handle?
Okay. There's nothing that needs to be handled.
Right. And so the question now, if he's got a fear or there's a concern that there's more than okay, but that's a whole different discussion. So I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt here. And this is all just really an old friendship, people catching up on some old times. Okay. And as you happen to do, you spend a little time together when that happens, you catch up and you move on.
Okay.
Short of any more information, doesn't say he's concerned about cheating. There's nothing to that. It's just old friends are reconnecting. Unless there's more to the story, I don't have. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I told my girlfriend that I don't want to wear a dress for our dress as your partner theme party the whole time. How should this be handled? So he's willing to get dressed up like his girlfriend. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And you go there, take pictures, ha ha ha, everybody laughs, have a good time. Then, okay, he wants to change back into his clothes.
Okay. So what's the problem with that? Is she uncomfortable with that?
No. They don't know how everybody else is going to handle it.
Okay, well, this is a yearly thing. Does other people do this in the past?
No.
All right, well, then then dress in something other than a dress. She wears jeans and a t-shirt, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's your solution. Dresses her in something other than a dress. Go good on a pitching pantsuit. That's all I'm saying. Solve the problem a different way.
Okay.
All right. What's next?
My boyfriend cannot overcome the fact that I have been sexually assaulted. How have other partners reacted to this news? Some feel insecure. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But most people have been, most of my partners have been nothing but loving and caring and gentle.
Well, I can tell you they don't know what to do, and that is overwhelming.
Oh.
And there's actually groups out there for partners of people who have been assaulted, and you should connect him with those. He's dealing with his own trauma. And rightfully, we don't discuss the trauma of the partner. And rightfully, we want to discuss the trauma of the victim. And right, we wanted because but we never discuss the trauma that those who love the victim have to deal with. And it's a different trauma, but it's impactful just as well. Let's say you're 29, he's 29 in this case, but you've lived a sheltered life. You've never had to deal with any real trauma. Maybe your grandparents died. That's the most severe trauma you've had to deal with at 30. And now all of a sudden this has been dropped on your plate and you have no tools. You need help. And there's nothing wrong with him needing help dealing with this.
Nothing at all.
So that would be my suggestion. Honor his pain too. And you can grow together. Or you'll grow apart and because you can't really move past this kind of thing. You just have to move on. And it's not fair. You shouldn't have to, but you do. So, and it's better if you guys can work together.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. But he needs to go and gets the therapy. There's groups and therapists who can deal with that. They specialize in that.
Yes, they do.
It's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's its own trauma. And, and so not that you should have to try to be kind, but try to be kind. Okay. What's next?
How do I tell my sister I'm pregnant? They both sisters have been trying to get pregnant for a couple of years. Now one is. She doesn't know how to tell her sister.
Your sister is going to be the most excited person for you. Yes, she will, in moments of quiet and when she's by herself, she will be sad. And that's why you're afraid of telling her, because you don't want her to be sad. But let her be joyful for you. You guys have been trying. You've been working together, trying to get pregnant for 2 years. Let her experience your joy. She may never get hers. So let her experience yours. Now, luckily, the older one got pregnant and the younger one is still, right? No, yes. The older one isn't. How do I tell my sister it's the older one? Let her enjoy this pregnancy through you, because she may never get it, right? She's 37. Her sister's 37. Mm-hmm. She's 30. But she will be your biggest cheerleader. So.
Yeah, she will. She'll be there for everything.
Yeah. So if she can't have it herself, I know you don't want to hurt her, but you would be hurt her more by keeping us quiet.
You really would. Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
I caught my husband of 7 years sending thousands of dollars to online mistresses. He says he will be better. Can I believe this?
No. He likely has an addiction of some form, but it's not really your problem.
You have to take the finances from him, or you got to head out the door.
Yeah. Well, now, if he's willing to go to addiction, probably sex addiction of some form, online mistresses, it's probably OnlyFans people. So he probably hasn't physically done anything. He's sending money to, online actresses, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
So how you view with that in terms of cheating but yeah, can you trust him? No, he's going to have to work his way through it. And you're going to have to figure out a way to take the credit card numbers away from him and all that. And it may not be worth it. So, yeah, we don't talk about the OnlyFans. We talk about the OnlyFans as a society. We talk about the OnlyFans actresses, the people who run the OnlyFans accounts, but we don't talk about the people who spend thousands of dollars to them and destroy their lives.
Yes.
Hey, I'm not saying it should be banned or anything, but we should have the full discussion of the dangers on both sides. Dangers to the participants. Okay, what's next?
What do you do if you feel like you should not have married your spouse?
Well, there's 2 generic courses of actions there. One is you end your marriage and you move on. Right? Married the wrong person, you end it, you move on. Or are you rededicate yourselves to making your marriage work?
Yeah. It takes work. Sorry, hen. It's not this magical thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah. And there's the 2 answers. There's only 2 answers to that question. Yeah. You either end it and move on, or you rededicate yourselves, regain some perspectives, and dedicate to making your marriage work. Maybe your marriage had hit a stage that's It's more comfortable than loving, right?
Mm.
And hey, we get that. Comfort and love can be two different feelings, two different emotions.
Mm.
But I don't know. But that's your two. Yeah, that's your two answers. I was looking for something more philosophical. I don't have it, so that's just that's your two answers.
All right. Okay.
That's your two answers. All right.
Who improves more after a breakup? The dumper or the dumpy?
The one who learns their lessons from the failures and improves themselves and moves on is the one who improves.
Yeah. Who improves. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with whether you're the dumper or the dumpy, but if you take your lessons learned and you improve yourself as a human being, become more the person you want to be, then you are the person who will improve. And if you don't, you won't. So, all right. So, that anything on that? That's a simple one.
No, that's a simple one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
On to our intimacy questions. Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Okay. Is it cheating if she has sex again after a foursome? So they had a foursome, and then she went back to the other dude.
Well, if there wasn't an agreed upon engagement, then yes.
And it's cheating.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
kind of how it works.
Yeah.
That's the dangers of that type of thing. Okay.
My girlfriend gave me an STD. He doesn't know what to do. What do I do now? You know?
Well, first you get it treated, then you deal with it. And, but also I want to remind people that STDs can be transmitted in ways other than sex. Just because STDs are the kind of the generic most common way for these diseases to transmit. It's not the only way for these diseases to transmit. So you go get it treated, and then you talk to your girlfriend about it and see what happens, because you're going to have to talk to her about it anyway.
Yeah, you do.
So, yeah. So, but always just remember that there is a possibility, however small, that it was from a different way. Okay.
Wife loves sex but hates talking about it.
Because she's embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And he's like, I shouldn't complain.
No, you shouldn't. You talk about it during. That's when you have your discussions. Yeah.
Because she's in the zone.
Yeah, you talk about it when she's in the mood to talk about it, and that's generally speaking when you're engaging in it. And the nice part about that is it kind of slows it down, lets it take a little longer. So,
if I were to share the porn I like with my boyfriend, how should I do it?
Just turn it on. There's nothing. You don't have to do nothing. Just turn it on.
Hey, babe, want to watch some porn?
You don't even have to go that far. Just turn it on. It's one of the few hints we'll get. Okay, what's next?
Ethical ways to enjoy exhibitionist urges. You know what? There are a plethora of websites that are devoted just to exhibitionists who want to be seen.
Yep. Well, congratulations for wanting to do it ethically. And, they have places for that. So you go to the places that are for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are nude beaches, where it's sanctioned.
Sanctioned. There's nude beaches where it may be not officially sanctioned. It's, they've turned the other way. So, there's those too.
There's hot springs. A lot of hot springs are.
Yeah. Nude. Join an exhibitionist group and you'll have no problems finding places.
There you go. People have meats in their houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
All right.
Okay, your girlfriend doesn't put any effort on her appearance. I struggle to get turned on by her.
Well, those two things actually are different.
You're struggling to get turned on,
But
and you're blaming your girlfriend's appearance.
yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Well, it kind of depends, right? Is she not washing herself, or is she just not putting on makeup and dressing up, right? So
Is she not wearing lingerie for you, or what?
yeah, my guess is she's wearing jeans and t-shirts all the time, not really putting on any makeup, and and the relationship is superficial.
Ah,
It's not deep because a real
okay.
because for a real love it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if she's in sweats and a t-shirt or in the skinny little black dress. Don't care. So now there's efforts. Is is she in a depressive episode and she's generally not taking care of herself, not brushing her hair, not getting the showers, not that's a different thing. So again, there is caveats on this first part of the question, but the second part of the question is most likely it's a superficial relationship and it's time to move on. So
Okay.
and with that, it's time for us to move on. We want to remind you that you can find us at latenighlove.us. You can send us your questions, comments, letters to love@latenighlove.us. You can find us on KUBU 96.5 FM, the voice of Sacramento. We're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 2 a.m., I think is what it is.
Okay.
Something like that. Anyway. And for me and Lubby, we want to thank you for joining with us. Please remember, have a good night. I'll get it right one of these days. Have a good night. And please remember to love everybody.